Welcome to the John and Josh Show. I'm Jonathan.
And I'm Jocelyn.
And today we have a special anniversary episode, as today is our 10th wedding anniversary. So we wanted to give you a special episode and tell a little bit of our love story. Let's dive in. It is our 10th anniversary, and we wanted to bring you something to kind of share how we got here, our love story, everything we've been through. And I guess I'm just going to start from the top. Is that all right?
Let's do it.
Okay, so the year was 2007, and she fell in love. It's really as simple as that, bro. I put the game on her.
I fell in love before the official technically of being together. But go ahead.
All right, so we mentioned it, I think,
married. Oh, yeah, no. You're starting from the beginning of dating. Okay.
Yeah, from the beginning of dating. Okay. So we mentioned it in our original inaugural episode, just a little bit about how we got here. So some of you all heard the story, but I'll tell a little bit of it again. I was heavy in my pursuit of Christ, and I was growing in God and all those kind of things. I was looking through my phone, and every number that I saw, this was summer of 2007, 6?
Oh, it's all a blur.
It was summer of 2006, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm looking through my phone, and every name I see, I'm like, look, I'm going to try to live this life for God, and I'm going to do all this Jesus Bible stuff. This no sex thing is you asking a lot. Nah, Lord, you are. So I'm looking through my phone, and every name I see, I'm like, I'm going to smash, I'm going to smash, I'm going to smash, I'm going to try to smash, whatever. I come to Jocelyn's number. Don't know how I got it. Don't know when I got it, but I had it. And I was just like, she's cool, so let me give her a call. I called her.
Just to clarify, I did not make the smash list, but...
You got to stop saying that. You're on the smash list. You are my smash list. You're the whole list.
But why? Okay, so explain why you were discarding.
Because...
When you got to my name, you paused, but why?
Because you had made it very clear that you just weren't having that in that season of your life, that you had made a certain transition from the streets, out the streets.
From the streets.
Yeah, you weren't about that life like that at that time.
So
right?
I had a standard.
You had a standard, and that standard for what I was in pursuit of at that time was safe. That was safer for me, right?
Okay. So
needless to say, I give her a call, and we started hanging out. So that's just kind of the precursor and the prelim. Let's really get to the bare bones of it, right? So I'm a hopeless romantic, okay? And in that, I had been hurt before, just like anyone else. Right. I had some pain in dating. And in that, I was looking to land with someone who could appreciate the fabric of who I am. Right. And when it came to Josh, we started as friends, because if we're going to tell the story, we started as friends, just straight up friends. She wasn't really checking for me. I wasn't really checking for her. We would tell each other our dating situation. She was very aware of the girls that I was, messing with and kicking it with and doing whatever. And I was aware of the some of her stuff. Right. But then over time, we just grew closer and closer as friends. And there was a party. You remember that party? Mm-hmm. There was a birthday party. We won't say the name because I don't know if they would want us to.
Say her name.
No, it's fine. There was a birthday party, and we decided to just pull up at this party. I'm like, I'll drive. We
both were invited to this birthday party. So, because we had lots of mutual friends. Literally, our phones were similar because everybody that we kind of rocked with, we had mutual friends. So we both were separately invited to the party. And as we were talking, like, oh, I'm thinking about going to this birthday party. Oh, you're going too? Let's go together.
So in that, and I was driving, I'm like, I'll drive. So let's ride together. So that was the first time. And at this point, it is maybe still that summer, like later that summer. And at this point, she got cute and she got dolled up like for the first time that I had seen. Right. And I was just like, well, the first time that in that way, in that capacity.
That way. Like, we had gone to church events. We had gone, we were in college together. So we did the whole daily
church
thing.
Events.
Or like choir events. You know what I'm saying? But like, this was a friend's birthday party at a restaurant.
Yeah.
So I dressed up for a birthday party, and he came to pick me up. Yeah. We went as friends.
We were very much still friends.
We were still friends, but I think that's when I couldn't deny it anymore to myself that like, oh, he kind of cute.
So I'm trying to tell y'all what happened, okay? She got cute. I got cute.
You did.
And in that moment, I bagged her. Like, that was really it. Like, that's really the whole story for real. Like, in that.
So let me just clarify. He picks me up and we're going to this party as friends, but I started losing it. Like, I started getting distracted by the fact that like, oh, I could see myself doing this. And then our parking spot was in the back of the parking lot. And I remember walking from all the way back there to the door, walking beside him. And it was something about the way it felt walking with him and like being with him in that moment. Like we were dressed up. I was feeling myself. I also was, dang, I'm feeling him like this. Like it was weird. But then the biggest thing was when we got inside and seeing the confusion amongst the friends.
Right. All the homies
we were
was
confused
like,
too.
Y'all need to tell us something.
It was,
and I'm like,
we
no.
We rode together like y'all did, you know?
Right.
But it was like, in my head, I was like, oh, they see what I'm feeling too, and I couldn't shake it.
So here's the thing. So let's fast forward because I don't want the story to get too long. I'm already long winded.
Let's go.
I feel like I'm talking a lot too.
Well, that's what you do on a podcast, baby.
All right. So
that's what it is. That's literally what we're doing.
let's fast forward a little bit. So we spent that whole year of our year in college, still not together. We didn't officially date. We didn't have any titles. I was still doing what I was doing. Jocelyn was doing whatever she was doing.
Let's make it clear. What I was doing was praising the Lord and just being a good old girl.
And that's great. She was praising the Lord, being a good old girl. I was praising the Lord, but I was not being a good old boy necessarily. Call things what they are. Now I wasn't out here too crazy, but I was living my life, right? So here's what ends up happening. We go on our first date, okay? And of course, you spend a year hanging as friends. Of course, friendship turn into feelings, turn into attraction, whatever the case may be. So we go on our first date. Now, I told y'all earlier I'm a hopeless romantic, and what I was looking for was someone who could appreciate that, right? And matter of fact, this is a good time. Earlier, we had a type of debate, right? Maybe a week or two ago. And, Jocelyn was like, yeah, you was loving me, long before you put a title on it, right?
Y'all, he get on my nerves.
And I was just like, I don't know that that's the case, right? But it came down to semantics in our debate. And it came down to when she was saying love versus in love and all this kind of stuff. But the truth is, I was holding something back from her until I knew it was safe to fully dive in. Meaning, I didn't know that I would be accepted because I would try all this hopeless romantic stuff with other girls I had dated and it fell flat, right? Like these girls are like, I'm talking about, I'm spending all my little money. I'm buying promise rings and, little Build-A-Bears and chocolate covered this, that, and the third. And these girls are like, oh, thank you. I'm like, oh, do you know what I had to do? You know what I went through for this? Like, you know how hard I went to do this? Like, I'm talking about high school, college, like, different girls that I had dated. So I'm just like, yo, I can't let myself be fully, I can't fully, be vulnerable and dive in unless I know that this woman will appreciate that part of who I am. How I became a hopeless romantic, I have no idea. It is what it is, right?
That's who you are.
So we go on this date. It was July 3rd, and basic dinner and a movie, and it was like, talk about the date, because I'm doing all this talking. Talk about how that went, because I feel like it was jumbled and it was just kind of like meh. But it was a purpose. I had a reason for that.
It was a normal date, normal outing. So he didn't really hopelessly romanticize me at that time, and also I was gauging how to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, we had been friends forever, so this is like our first date. Like, I'm excited. I dressed up and like he came and got me, had on my little heels, and like, we had our dinner and a movie date. So it was cute, but it was normal. Like, and I had a good time, and
So this is what happened. So she said to me, so I'm joking, right? I'm like, that was a good date, right? Like, that was legit, right? She like, I mean, it was fine, nigga. Like,
I didn't.
No, you were like, I mean, it was dinner and a movie. It wasn't nothing special.
It was good. Yeah, it was okay.
So then we made this bet, and I was like, oh, so you saying I can't date, right? Like, I can't romance. I can't plan, right? She's like, I mean, I guess we'll have to see. I'm like, say less. August 4th, circle that day. Don't plan nothing for that day, right?
That's what she said.
And what was the bet?
That was a month after the first
That was a month after our first date. And there was a bet that we made. What was that bet?
So I hadn't had a nickel allergy test at that time.
Right.
So for those of you who have sensitive ears, you might have a nickel allergy. So I actually have a nickel allergy. So growing up, I would break out if I wore fake earrings. But 14 karat gold was just like what my parents and what I knew to do. But then certain like lead-free, nickel-free type stuff at like these local kind of cheap jewelry shops, those things wouldn't respond the same way that some white gold would respond, for example. Anyway, at that time, I would still wear earrings. I just break out, deal with the repercussions, it heal up, and then the next event I wear earrings again because they completed the outfit. So he was like, "You don't need them. Like, you're beautiful without earrings." And I'm like, "Thanks," and I'm putting it back in.
And it would irritate me because I'm like, yo, I'm literally about to be with you, and I'm not finna be with the girl whose ears is finna fall off.
Yeah.
That's what we're not gonna do.
Yep.
Right. So I made a bet, and I said, if you can go, I said, I bet you can't go like 3 months or something like that without wearing fake.
No, it was 3 weeks because it was the next one.
The bet was longer. The bet was longer.
Ah, so you surprised.
The bet
Okay.
was like 2 or 3, like till your birthday or something. And
Okay.
then if she did, I would buy her real jewelry, right? So needless to say,
And how cute is that? Like, it's a bet to get me to get jewelry, but it also was incentive for me to heal my body because, like, my ears would literally scab.
yeah, it was crazy. So needless to say, we get to August 4th, and she's bugging, right? She's like leading up to like, where are we going? What are we doing? What are you planning? I'm like, don't
information.
worry about it. Don't worry
Do I
about
wear a
it.
dress? Do I wear pants? Is it rock climbing? Is it fancy? He gave me nothing.
And then now I didn't know how bold that was at the time, but then she was like, you got to give me something. You have to tell me something like so I can plan. And at the time, I'm thinking like, you just throw some clothes on. And she's like, no. As a woman, I need to be dressed appropriately for what we're doing. So she asked me, well, what you wearing? I said, shoot, some hoop shorts and a t-shirt.
I said, where is this man? Like, I was stumped. And
Yeah.
at that time, I was actually playing with him because I had an outfit already laid out. Like, spaghetti strap, little flare out dress. I had some stiletto sandals with the strap up heels. Like, I had everything planned out because I was looking forward to this date. When this man said he's wearing hoop shorts and a t-shirt,
First of all, my seat just went down. First of all, that's my attire. All right, that's
But
what
it was
I'm
our
comfortable
second
in.
date.
It was, and I had bigged it up. I had boosted it for
Right,
like
he been
a month,
planning this
right?
thing, like, where we
going crazy,
going?
like this whole thing. So I was still in East Lansing in school, and she was in Detroit over the summer.
I was a 4-year. He was a 5-year.
That's so
People
unnecessary.
but you know, we all have
and
different
at
paths.
the time, that was like year 3 for everyone. Like there was no need to do that.
Okay, sorry.
There was
babe.
no need. Don't be sorry at me. But so with that, so we finally get to we get to this day, right? So I pull up at her house. I had some flowers. I forget what time it was. It was early afternoon. I had some flowers in a
so
little
cute.
vase.
In a vase, y'all. And it wasn't just roses. Nothing against roses. Like, roses are great. But it was like a small pink and white bouquet, but like it had lilies and it had like baby's breasts. Like it had like, some little essence to it. And then the cutest little vase that it was in. So I didn't have to transfer it and put the little stuff. It came already ready. He brought
Yeah.
me flowers. So I was like blushing.
Yeah, and those were your first. I think you said your first flowers like that, right?
In that way, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so I get her in the car and she's okay. Where are we going? I'm like, you got to close your eyes. She's like, come
Well,
on,
wait,
bruh.
let's just go to the attire for a second. So I ended up wearing like a polo and like some jean capris or something like that. I still worked it out. Still wore my shoes because they were bad. But
No, she was fine.
he had on
she was
basketball,
fine.
and I want to say his T-shirt had the sleeves cut off.
I did have the cutoffs. I did have the cutoffs. I had the
but
cutoffs.
I still was loving you though.
Yeah, it's fine. I pulled around that corner with them flowers,
I
them hoop
did.
shorts, and that cutoff tee.
Did you have on? No, you didn't have on slides, did you?
Nah,
You
I
had
ain't even
gym
wear
shoes.
slides back then. I
Okay,
had on some
okay. Yeah,
regular
yeah.
hoop shoes. And now even let me be clear. Even in the midst of that, I wasn't like dirty or nothing. Like it was,
No,
it
you
was.
ain't
I was
never stank or
clean.
nothing,
Yeah, I
you
was
know?
clean. I
You
was
always
just
smelling
very
good,
comfortable,
guys. Don't
right?
worry.
So needless to say, so I don't know if I blindfolded, just told her to close your eyes or whatever, and we drive around a little bit and we pull up at our first location, right?
Mm-hmm.
And our first location was a little picnic. So I go to the trunk, I pull out the blanket or whatever. And do you want to tell the significance of that and why that mattered?
All of it was cute. Well, so in the process of us getting to know each other, we would have these moments where we talk about things that we like. We watched movies and I would just randomly ramble about things that I like, things that were cute, things like that. So then I just told him all the things I liked throughout our time. Like, oh, they're doing a picnic. I want a picnic. Like, that's so cute. Oh, this, that, other. So he's collecting details about the things that I like up to, to this point.
Yeah. So I was getting data, right? So for these like 9 months, low key, of us being friends and starting to, really gain attraction and feelings, I was just storing the data. So we get to this picnic. And she's already excited, like, oh, a picnic, that's so cute.
Oh my
But
gosh.
then took it to
I'm
another
blushing.
level because I pulled out this chocolate cake. At the time, this woman loved chocolate cake. You couldn't, that was it. And she loved Swedish fish.
Yep.
So I pulled out some Swedish fish. Then I had fried some chicken because she loved fried chicken. So I fried it, okay? Let's be clear.
He fried
I drove down from East Lansing at like, I worked like a full night at the Fizz plant. Any Spartans out there, y'all know what the Fizz plant is. And then I came to the crib at like 8 a.m. I was cooking this chicken. You know what I mean? Just going crazy. I grabbed
for those
chicken.
who aren't Spartans, the Fizz plant was like a custodial job.
A custodial service. Yeah, I
So he
worked
did
overnight as a custodian.
Custodian in the college halls.
Yeah.
And then drove back home. Okay.
Yeah. And then I think I also got like watermelon. Right, I got watermelon,
there.
and then some
was
other. Yes, we're
grapes.
black. We like chicken and watermelon. We do, and that's all right. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Okay.
It was literally all these like favorites.
Yeah.
If you put it on a menu, it didn't make sense. But
didn't have
y'all,
to.
it made perfect sense to me. I felt so seen, and I was so excited.
Yeah. And I got some other stuff too, but I can't remember.
You
So
had
needless
everything
to say,
in that little cooler.
it was a lot in there. So we had this beautiful picnic at
did.
Inglenook, right?
Yeah.
Inglenook Park, over in Southfield. We had this nice picnic, and then after that, I gotta remember what came next.
Then we got back in the car and we went to Blockbuster, I think.
I think we went to Blockbuster. Jesus.
We did. We went to Blockbuster.
Sure did. We went to Blockbuster.
We got a rom-com and action.
And like an action film. And then we went back to her crib to watch these movies, which was like a break in the day, right?
Yep.
Which was cool. So we had our picnic, we got some movies.
Yeah.
And then I hit her with the move, which was dope. So that jewelry that we mentioned, I had already purchased it. I had already bought it. So I had her close her eyes again, and I put some music on. We slow danced into this song. And I put the necklace around her neck, and I presented her with the
I
earrings.
should have wore that necklace today.
Oh, that's all right. So I put the necklace.
We
it's
missed
fine.
it.
It's absolutely
All
fine.
right.
I put the necklace on. I presented her the earrings or whatever. And at this point, she just crying and
I was so emotional. Like we were, what, we're 19?
20,
We were,
turning 20.
so that makes us 19.
I guess 19.
Okay.
Shut up.
We were young.
Yeah.
And like the attention to detail that went into this date, but also just like it was so me forward. You know what I'm saying? I had done nothing for this man at that point to that magnitude. So like the flowers like already were more than enough. I was grateful. But then the intention of the picnic and like the very things that he had chosen, he really put himself out there, and it was overwhelming, honestly. And then even with the whole earrings thing, like, you buying me jewelry. I never asked a man for jewelry. I also at that point had never received any, but it was just so intentional.
Yeah.
So and then also we were broke college students. So like you did a darn good job. So yeah.
Then after that, we had our dance at the house, whatever. Then we went back in the car, went back to the park.
Another surprise.
Yeah, went back to the park.
Same park. By this time it's getting dark.
And what I give you at the park? I don't think
You
that
asked
was,
me to be your girlfriend, right?
No.
Oh crap! You waited so long. No, we danced under the stars.
We danced under the stars at the park, and that's when I knew. And the
He did all that and didn't
just
even ask me.
hold on.
Okay.
We getting there.
All
That
right.
for years that has pissed you off. Like, how you gonna do all that? You ain't asked me to be your girl.
Still pissed
I'm
off.
getting to a point.
I done had 3 kids, and we had 10 years of marriage today, and I'm still mad.
But excuse me. The I have a reason for that. It's a dumb reason, okay? But I have a reason for that. But needless to say, we slow danced under the stars, and I kid you not, though I didn't ask you to be my girl, I knew in that moment I'm gonna marry this woman.
Oh my
In that moment, I knew that.
I was so emotional. It was such a beautiful date. Like, it was literally what dreams are made of. By the time I got back home that night, it was like TV, like when you, okay, bye. I don't even know. We probably did like a little peck at the door, sent him home. He goes out. And then I remember like putting my back up against the door and being like, oh,
Yeah.
That was amazing.
So that
I didn't
was
even know how to do that. And it was game in the best way, because this dude
I mean,
still didn't ask me to be his girlfriend. So I'm just stuck in my feelings. Like,
all right. Let's get to that. Let's get to that. My theory at the time, I do not recommend this, okay?
no.
But at the time, my thought process was there were so many things I want, so many hopeless romantic things that I wanted to do for her. And for whatever reason, I wanted to do all these things even before making it official, because in my mind at the time, it held more significance. I don't know why. All right,
Here I
it's
am
dumb.
liking this boy, and he just doing all this sweet
but
stuff.
I was also, but at that time, I was absolutely all in. I had called, other girls that I was kicking it with and messing with, like, yo, this is over. Like, we got to shut this down.
Also, so something that's interesting that took place, and like, I'm not saying I recommend this because everybody may not be available to have this type of conversation, but he also told me about, these specific girls that he had interactions with that overlapped in our friendship time, but also I wasn't his real girlfriend, no way, but like we had the conversation about these interactions.
Yeah.
So
and it's my homeboys at the time would be like, yo, you told her that? I was like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason was, to be honest with y'all, is I wish I had a deeper reason than what I'm about to say. The true reason was like, yo, I don't want you to be so on our campus in Michigan State, we had the CATA bus station where everybody caught their buses to go to class, right? East Lansing is like a little town, like one of the largest campuses in the country, right? So what I didn't want was was one of these girls' friends, because a couple of the girls I was messing with might have been
it's a small world.
It's a small world. I didn't want one of their friends to come up to my now woman and be like, you think your man all that? He was messing with my girl 2 weeks ago. He was blah, blah, blah. So I was like, yo, you know what? I'm going to just put it all on the table so it ain't no curveball. I don't want no drama. I don't want none of that. You know what I mean?
And also, that actually happened in high school. I had someone approach me about my little boyfriend at the time and told me, like that exact situation. So I'm here just being normal old me, and you just feeling the need to tell me some information that I wasn't privy to.
Yeah.
So for that was good. But also for you to know, had you not given me that context, because I already thought the world of you, you know what I'm saying? But you were human, and you were a boy, you were a young man at that time. So if I had found out intel about you in that way through other people, my buy-in would have been much lower.
It'd have been different, especially since there was no quote unquote title yet, right? So
like you just doing this for fun.
And back in our day, look, we dating ourselves. We said Blockbuster. That I know people watching this is like, them niggas got to be 47. Like
when I said it, I was like, yeah, it was Blockbuster.
We went to a whole Blockbuster, bro,
on purpose.
On purpose as a choice for the date, like.
And it
for
was
the
good
date,
too.
a part of my romance was like Blockbuster. That's gonna get her. And it did.
It did.
And it worked. So it's like, it is what it is. But keep the context, right? We was 19 when this happened, okay?
Yeah.
So needless to say, I felt the need to share that stuff because I didn't want any drama. I had fooled around and fallen in love. I'm like, I'm gonna marry this girl. So I don't want nobody coming up to my woman like, yo, your man was with my girl, 6 weeks ago. He was with my, I'm not even playing that game. So we did that. And then I did a lot of other romantic stuff. I mean, your birthday, I went hard. I did the rose petals spelled out like I love you on the floor and all that crazy stuff.
And just know, this fool still wasn't my boyfriend.
Listen, I was your boyfriend at heart, okay?
We had a thing, but like, I don't even, like, maybe you'll tear me up in the comments like, I would have left. In retrospect, it was ridiculous. But like what we had was so powerful. I genuinely appreciated the gestures, and we also were like, it was a whole thing. Like it was us.
You know what's crazy? I was about to come against that comment of the I would have left, but I think about it now. Dudes be out here like that. Like people,
they be doing that to everybody,
male and female. People be out
That's
here
how
like
you get the
going
good draws.
crazy.
If you just did that to every girl you came across, they be fighting for you.
And in my mind, that doesn't even. How do you have the capacity to like? You know what I'm saying? It took everything. This woman wanted one of the things on her birthday, right? I did these rose petals, this beautiful thing. And one day in passing, she says, I would love to have a turtle. I was like, what? She was like, I want a turtle. I was like, okay. So I found a pet store and I found a little baby turtle. You know what I mean? I bought an aquarium, like was doing all this stuff. How does someone have the capacity to go that hard? And at the time, I'm broke.
I'm
like,
in my feelings.
I'm fine, y'all. When
His
I tell
name
y'all,
was PJ. Rest in
PJ the
peace,
turtle.
PJ.
Rest in peace, PJ. We miss you. But I'm like, how I was even finding the money for roses to then peel rose petals. I ain't no artist. I'm like, okay, that eye look terrible. Okay, it's a line and then one line and another line. Like, I'm like, how many roses I gotta buy? Like, So I'm doing all that. I can't even imagine somebody doing all that stuff for more than one human at once.
And in
That's
college.
Crazy. That's crazy. But anyway, so I feel that statement. So I did that, and then some other things. But we fast forward to Christmas Eve of that year, where I finally asked her. Now I had this big grand gesture in my mind.
Finally.
But it was for me though, as a hopeless romantic. For like I said, it was these gestures that were supposed to, and I know they meant a lot, but they were supposed to mean even more, because if he's doing, in my mind, it's like, if he's doing all this and there is no title, what's it gonna be like when we go? Oh my God, this dude is about to go crazy. In my mind, that's just what made sense. It was dumb.
I'm just blushing.
It's fine. But so Christmas Eve, I don't even remember all the Christmas Eve stuff, but I got her this jewelry box.
I don't remember either.
We did a lot, but I just did a lot. But I got his jewelry box with a scripture on it. In this moment, I can't even remember the scripture, but at the time it mattered.
Right before, as we were going closer to the story, I was like, "Oh crap, what was the scripture?" But
it's 1 Corinthians something.
It is
13 something maybe.
It ain't the love one though. It's about a house being built on a strong foundation, and so he did this whole speech about us building what we share on a strong foundation, one of our faith, but also in this idea of like genuine love and vulnerability to each other. And then, so my gift was, I got him like some hoop shoes or something like that, because he needed them.
Oh, that's
and
right.
Like,
I love them things too. I was getting buckets in them shoes.
And it was big time, because he got big feet. Like, shoes are expensive.
Yeah.
And again, college. And so he got me a custom jewelry box. Now, I barely have jewelry at this, but he had bought me, stuff over time. So custom jewelry box, and in the plating, it had John and Jocelyn, this scripture, and then the date. And then he gave this whole speech about like our foundation, blah, 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 blah. And then inside the jewelry box was this note, and it said, "Will you be my girlfriend? Yes or no?"
Yes, no, or maybe.
Was it maybe too?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I'm gonna say yes, making me wait all the time. But yeah, so that's how we became a couple.
So that's like
Christmas Eve, 07.
Yeah. So that was our dating journey, right? Mm-hmm. So we'll fast forward a little more to getting married. And this is where it'll get a little deeper, not too much, but a little bit. So we had moved. I had gotten into graduate school in Houston, to the University of Houston. Shout out U of H. Go Cougs. Is it that? Whatever the sign is. But whatever they do. But I got into grad school, so I was going to Houston. She was applying for jobs all over the country, as an educator. And I think your top was like, where were your top? It was North Carolina, right?
Mm-hmm. Asheville, North Carolina, Houston, or Chicago.
That's right. And then so she also chose Houston, which, look, she say that's where I was supposed to be. That's where I wanted to go. I'm like, girl, you was going there because I was going. I ain't trying to hear that.
Wasn't nobody going.
See, look at that. There. Look at that. Anyway, we ain't gonna get into that.
I think that, of course, that was a factor, but realistically, they paid more.
That's true.
The school was great. Like
true.
the chemistry of the school, everything about it was better than the other opportunities. Asheville, North Carolina at that time was paying nickels.
Yeah.
Detroit wasn't it. Chicago wasn't it. So it
Detroit
just so happened that Houston
like,
was the best choice.
Detroit wouldn't even call you back. They called her like,
Told me to report
5
to
months in, like, be at this school. She was
Not
like, what?
5 months in. Houston, we started school in August. By end of August, beginning of September, I got a letter saying report to X school.
It's crazy.
I'm like, who? What?
Yeah, DPS, we got to get it together.
Well, that was at that time too, so they probably have improved.
We hope.
Okay.
So anyway, so we're in Houston, and here's the thing, right? This is a running theme with me, taking my time, right? So now we're in Houston. Conventional wisdom would say, well, if you're gonna marry this woman, surely you'll propose like after college, right? Like you'll graduate.
That's
and
what
then
you would think.
That's what you would think, right? I didn't. So excuse me. So we get to Houston, and in my mind, again, this is something that I would not necessarily recommend, but as we tell these stories, we're touching on something really important, I think. And it's about, you tell me if I'm wrong, your conviction in me, and in knowing that this will certainly end where you want it to end, right? And that conviction being confirmed by my commitment and my actions towards you, right? Because this was technically a long time. Like technically we started dating in 2007 and we didn't get married until 2013, right? Mm-hmm. So over that time, even though we were young, which played a big factor for me, But even though we were young, you know, people would say like, no, you never wait that long. That's crazy. Especially in our day and age today.
Yeah.
If it ain't a year and a half, I know
Well,
y'all up out of there. So
in our circles too, there was this standard of what a quality woman should expect, or like what her standard should be. So, you know, a man, it don't take that long for him to know whether he gonna marry you. Like, that was one frame of thought. And also like what he had or who he was at the time of dating, and what I should expect from a man. But like, we were building, neither of us had anything, and like, that wasn't the priority. I think in dating, for me, and I do recommend this, but you know, to each their own, prioritize your non-negotiables. You know what I'm saying? Like, some people, that is a certain salary bracket or something like that. Neither one of us had any money. That wasn't I knew money would come and go. I knew that there was more to the journey. So like, I didn't have a number. I had a standard of integrity though. I had a standard for how I wanted to feel in your presence. And I had a standard for who you were as a person and your relationship with God. Because if you can't do right by yourself or even with him, I don't stand a chance. You know what I'm saying? If somebody just moving greasy all the time, like, girl, if he do that to his mama, just wait your turn. Like, I couldn't stand that. So prioritizing the things that were most important was important to me.
And I'm gonna tell you, the fact is, at the time, I thought, and this was my honest feeling, was that I hadn't experienced life yet, but not in the ways you think when you hear that. I didn't care to go sow my royal oats and do this, and I had done enough of that. I was fine. I didn't care about that. It was more so like, I haven't lived on my own before. And granted, I was in college, but I was on scholarship, so it was a different experience. I didn't have to grind. I didn't have to hustle. I didn't have to pull myself up from my bootstraps, right? I didn't have to do that. So as a man, in my mind, I was like, I need to, in my mind at the time, experience life. I need to overcome adversity. I need to go through some things and watch myself overcome this stuff and live in that way, so I know that I can take on a marriage and take on a wife and do it the way I feel it needs to be done. That was my perspective back then. So it wasn't waiting for waiting's sake. It wasn't like he out here playing, he in the streets. No, I was literally like, I have not been through any adversity, and I knew that, or at least what I defined as adversity, because I had been, but I didn't define it that way.
Do you think that because you had heard so many stories from like the men in your life about how they overcame to get where they are, that played a role in you feeling like you had to overcome to?
My father, both my uncles that I'm close to, the prominent men in my life, I'm talking about, these dudes had stories from when they was like 9, like 10 years old, 11 years old. Like, yeah, I had to do this and I had to do that. I had to overcome this, and then these people did this to me, and then I did that, and this went wrong, and then I needed $400 more to go here, and I didn't get that money, so I went to this college and I hustled, and I'm like, I ain't been through none of that. You know what I mean? Like,
and that's part of the recipe.
I'm like, I've literally used my charm and my personality and my gifts to just kind of skate. And I knew that, like, internally and consciously, I was very aware, like, I ain't been through this junk. So I'm looking at my examples of men. That's a great question.
That happened right now.
I'm looking at my examples of these men, and I'm like, okay, and these are all successful marriages, very successful men. I'm like, okay, that's what it looks like. I ain't been through that, so I don't know that I can. I don't know that I can do this, right? Because for real, like, that was my one thing, was like, I don't know if I think I'm ready. But I ain't been through that stuff. So how do I have the evidence that I'm ready to take on life? Not the marriage, the love, the commitment. That's fine. When life hits, will I be able to handle that? That was my concern, right? And in my mind, all right, I'm moving to Houston. I'm going dang near across the country from Detroit down to Texas. I'm by myself.
24-hour drive.
Listen, I'm by myself out here. I got to figure this life out. So once I do that, then I'm sure I'll be ready. I would have overcome. We can get married as soon as I qualify. As soon as I graduate from grad school, we gonna be all right. And then I ain't go through no adversity in grad school for real. So I thought it was gonna be, harder and different, but it was the same. So at that point, I was like, all right, I'm marrying this. It's time, okay. Lord. And another factor too, though, that I think is worth mentioning, I also was very serious. As much as it was about the adversity, even more, it was about knowing what my vision was for my life and knowing where I was going to take us, right? At that time, when we were dating, I think the atmosphere of relationship, especially in the Black community, was very much, the man leads and this and that. And that's still the atmosphere. I do think it is my job to lead my family. I do believe that. But at the time, it was just a different tone and a different weight behind it, and it was far more prominent. Now I think a lot of us have elevated to where leadership, yes, but there's partnership in leadership, in that we're walking together. You know what I mean? At that time we were walking together, but I think so many of those ingrained kind of conditioning said, like, no, you better know for a fact exactly where you're going, what you're doing, blah 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 blah. And in my mind it was like, if I'm not sure, do I want to be an actor, do I want to be an educator, do I want to be an entrepreneur, like what am I gonna do? Without that answer for myself, I wasn't comfortable getting married, because what I didn't want to do was, one day I want to be an actor, right? Then the next day, no, I don't think that's for me. And then we get pregnant. And then, now I can't be an actor. You know what I mean?
Let me just add too, I think, so essentially he was looking for a certain clarity for himself.
Right.
Meanwhile, I was down for the journey.
Right.
So like, as you figure it out, as we're figuring it out, we can do this together. So that our differences, and this is something valuable, but like, you don't get with somebody who you're identical to. That's
Facts.
boring. So like, we're very different. He's a planner, and I'm like, let's go do what, let's go do the thing.
And that junk gets on my nerves.
So being with him as he's planning his life, and he is like so particular about it, but also being genuinely in love, and being able to say within my heart of hearts, and even to the God I serve, that I am willing to sign up for whatever life's journey brings to this man. It was difficult, and it started to get increasingly difficult.
Yeah.
Or even increasingly more difficult.
Whatever.
It got harder because I just couldn't. So because we get long-winded. Let's fast forward to the good stuff.
But you just brought something up that's important.
Oh, okay.
No. Something really important. Our families are different. Jocelyn's parents got married at like 19,
2021.
right? 2021. My
and
parents
also,
got married.
I had one brother. Guess what he did? Got married at 2021.
Right. So they get married young. My family, not so much. You know what I'm saying? And I grew up around older people, right? So in that, my perspective was driven by my side. Yours was driven by your side.
True.
But okay, get to the good stuff. What were you going to say?
So, and also I was geriatric at this point, because once 21 passed, I was like, come on, dude.
Right. In her mind, we 26 with 3 kids. I'm like, I wasn't supposed to get married I wasn't supposed to find a woman I would marry until I was 28 and then marry her at 30. That was my mindset.
And I was like, 21 is old. So anyway.
2 different worlds.
I was 24. We'd been together at that point for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And this one day I just had this moment where he was my best friend, but he also was my boyfriend. So I wasn't going to complain to anyone else. You know what I'm saying? Like, we were together the longest, but all of our friends got married before us, pretty much. So I got 27 dresses in the closet, because I've been the bridesmaid and he's been the groomsman, and we have all these things. And so I just got really emotional one day, and I'm like, I'm not saying this to put pressure on you. You know what I'm saying? Like, do what you got to do, but also like, just put on your friend hat, because it is difficult. My conversation with myself and even with God is like, I love this man's dirty draws. Not literally, but like, I just loved you so much. And the scary thing at that point, and nobody likes to admit that they're afraid of anything, but the scary thing at that point was, if I love him deeply enough to want to spend the rest of my life with him, how the heck could I validate leaving him because he wasn't moving fast enough for me? That was one thought. The second thought was, how long am I going to be here? You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I'm not going to ask myself, and I for darn sure wasn't asking him to marry me, because that's just not what I wanted to do. One part of my life. No. Some people do it, but that wasn't. So I knew that I wasn't going to do that. So the conundrum was, I could literally be here for longer, and that is terrifying.
So wait.
So I shared that with him, and I'm like, don't reply, but I'm just talking through this mindset. Like, I'm down for you, I'm riding for you, but I want you to know this is effed up.
But y'all gotta hear the reality though, right? This conversation, I had never seen her kind of go in like that.
I fell apart.
She fell apart.
I was tired.
And keep in mind too, I had finally graduated from grad school, so conventional wisdom would say, okay, he's gonna propose to me at graduation.
And you graduated in May, right?
Yep.
So I think that also was part of the explosion.
It was part of it. It was like, yo, come on, bro. Like, what are you doing?
This was either June or July.
This was
I gave you
June.
a good month or so.
This was like shortly thereafter, like June.
Like, come on,
and then she went
dude.
off like, yo, what are you doing, right? And in the conversation, she in the kitchen, she's like, I just want to know, what are we doing? Like, I'm here. I love you. I'm gonna be here. Like,
I was
like,
more gentle and graceful than that.
That's a lie. She was hot, right? And it was and I'm gonna tell y'all the funny
so
thing.
emotional.
It was the cutest thing in the world because literally
it was hard.
6 days later, we were flying home to Detroit for me to propose.
Yeah.
So it was.
But in my mind, we're going home yet again as
Just going
girlfriend
home
and
to go
boyfriend.
home. Right. But I had it. But y'all, look, hopeless. I had it late. I had people flying in from Carolina, Alabama,
Yeah,
like
my cousins drove up
Ohio.
from,
people was
yeah.
coming from everywhere.
Yeah.
And it was really exciting.
Excuse
So
me.
finally, in June.
No,
In July. So your breakdown was like in June, end of June.
Broke
and
down.
we were going back in July. So July I proposed. Of course she said yes. And the goal, I'm gonna say this real quick. On my Hopeless Romantic, the freaking weather. We were supposed to go back to the same place we went on August 4th for the picnic. We went
Yeah.
back to the park. I had the same picnic blanket.
Me
I
too.
think I had some of the same food. Like I had this whole
Similar
thing laid
setup,
out, bro.
But just with family and friends
Just family and
invited.
friends, and then of course it
Thunderstorm.
rains, thunderstorm, right? So my homies are calling me, and they just like, hey, bro, we got to take this thing somewhere else, bro. This rain is
still
coming, bro.
tried it.
I was trying, man. I was like, yo, if I do it real quick, it's cloudy, we'll be all right. They was like, nah. So we took it to my parents' house, and we made it happen. So that is the long short version
of our proposal story.
of our proposal story of our anniversary, or at least proposal story. Yeah. Do you have anything that you would like to say in honor of our 10 years together?
I don't feel old enough to be married for nobody's 10 years.
Me either.
First of all. But this has been a wonderful journey and a 10 years well spent. And I will do this over and over again for the rest of my life. I feel just as confident as I did from the day we fell in love, or where I fell in love with you. The dates, I don't know.
When we fell in love.
I feel stronger.
Yeah.
I trust you as much as I trust myself, and I hold myself to a very high standard. So I love you, and I genuinely believe in you, and I thank God for what we share.
Yeah. I love that. I don't know how I'm gonna top that, but I love you. And you're my best friend. No. Let me finish. How you going?
That was it.
No, that's not it. No. What I'm grateful for in our 10 years, our first decade together, by the grace of God, you made a vow to me when we got married. You said that you would keep my arms lifted in battle when I didn't have the strength. And you have done that. And I'm very grateful for that. I am very grateful for you. As I said, I wouldn't change this journey for nothing. You know, I would some stuff I've done I'd probably shift and do better at, you know. But I wouldn't change you for anything. And I love you dearly. You are my best friend.
I love you too.
And I look so forward to the next.
You know I got these hormones.
It ain't the hormones, it's just you. That's all right. That's all right. And I look forward to the rest of our journey together. And I love you.
I love you too.
All right. That is our 10-year anniversary episode. Love y'all. Please like, subscribe, and share. Thank you for your time. And we'll holler at you soon.
Bye, guys.
Peace.